Alright guys, so I got the new 2022 TRD Pro Tundra, and I had my boy Colton go through a complete overhaul of just everything in this truck, just to let me know what it has in it, all the gadgets, all the bells and whistles, everything that it has. We went over everything from the tires to the lights to the sunroof. He'll use the technical terms and all this stuff, but we brought him in just to kind of go over this so that we knew exactly what we had. I mean, this is a $94,000 truck. They're so rare. When you look at these things, man, there were what, 1,183 Tundras so far in the first half?
From what we can find. I mean, there's no information out there, but I mean, realistically, it's so rare. There's none out there. Everyone that I actually can't say everyone that I've seen. Haven't seen one except for this one. And this is like the talk of the town too. And the reason why I even connected with Ross on this truck was because I used to be in the car business just a little bit. 6 years, but I still have connections, right? And my old sales manager, we were talking about Tundras, just talking about everything, and I was just like, hey, have you seen any of those TRD Pros come in? He's like, no, the only one that has happened, or that I've actually even heard of being on the ground and available for sale, was at the dealership that Ross bought it at, and that's the only one. 3 dealerships within the area had not even had one delivered to them as new. Like, nothing. You can only get them at auctions, and you're gonna pay for them. So it is what it is. But it's awesome because you feel like you're driving a literal Lamborghini going down the road.
It is pretty cool. Everybody kind of looks at you, points. Like, one of these dudes I was driving by about knocked his friend into the road to try to get him to look at it. It's interesting how it happens.
Yeah.
But
it's kind of funny to laugh at too.
It really is. It's
everybody's
cool.
Just like, oh wait, hold on.
What
is this? What is this?
So we shot this in Uptown Charlotte. We shot all these videos that we have here in Uptown Charlotte, and we didn't know it was Pride Week weekend downtown, and it was so funny, man. Everybody was like, it was just packed, and everybody was just pointing at the truck like, oh shit, that thing's awesome. It's just one of the coolest things, man. Toyota did this thing right. It doesn't matter who you are, if you're a car person, truck person, just a person that appreciates awesome art, because that's what this is, man. This truck is a piece of art, and you will see from the videos that we have. I got to give it up for Toyota. I never thought that there would be a truck that they would make that would feel like driving in a Lamborghini that everybody just wanted to see. So they did it right. Props to you, Toyota. But Colton, man, let's jump into this. So let's get into this first video. What are you talking about here? Obviously we did the little zoom in.
Yep. So I'm usually talking some smack, like, come on guys, let's get in there and let's take a look at this thing. The first and foremost thing that I always like to go over whenever I'm doing an outside walk around is I'd like to pop the hood, obviously, to show people what's underneath there, but first and foremost is the wheels and tires, right? As well as the fender flares. If you haven't looked at the fender flares on these trucks, they have like a camo texturization to them. It's very cool. I'm talking about the wheels. These are forged by BBS, which is a very popular racing brand. That's very cool, and specifically only designed for the TRD Pro Tundras. Secondly, I also am talking about the wheels themselves, and the tires specifically. These came with Wranglers. They're 285s. Tires are good. They're good, but I will say this: with an all-wheel drive Tundra, you're going to burn through those tires quick, because how many times have you gotten on it and all tires hook up?
Oh yeah, they do, and they hook up. They peel out for a second, and then you're off to the races, man. This thing has some giddy up.
Yep. And then also what I'm talking about when I got underneath here was, so the suspension itself, it has shocks and struts specifically designed for this TRD Pro with this engine, with this overall weight.
Pretty cool.
But then on this one, obviously, just like on the previous outgoing model, you did have a red, big, thicker sway bar up front to prevent the front end from twisting so much. But also on this vehicle, you don't have a V8 up front, you have a V6, but it still helps with that weight transfer for sure. And then also what I'm probably going over right now is there's lights on some parts of the trucks, like on the outside of the fender flares, on the back tailgate, that say TRD, that the LEDs inside of there are specifically only for the TRD Pros. You cannot get them on another truck. This is the only truck that gets that. So the headlights, I think they're shared between the Capstone and the Platinum, so they're not getting really anything too terribly different there. While on the previous outgoing model, you would actually have a TRD logo on the actual headlight itself. So It's a give and take, but also very cool. Good looking headlights. They redesigned it and they had to change the headlights, obviously.
Question for you. I don't
Yep.
think we went over this at the time. That turn signal, the way it flashes, now that you mentioned it, is that shared with the Platinum and the Capstone as well, or is that kind of a TRD deal?
Yeah, it's so when you say the turn signal, you mean the way that it flows?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's the same.
Okay.
And then so underneath the hood, obviously, like I said, I originally had the interpretation that this was just a Camry V6 that they put 2 turbos on and then just called it the iForce Max with a hybrid battery pack, right? It's technically not that. It's not a 3.5 like they market it to be. This actually is a 3,443 cubic inch engine. So realistically, it's its own thing. But it's not anything that's new per se. They started putting them in some Lexus models in 2017. So it's not an old model by any stretch of the means, but it's also not a new model that I thought it was when I first started doing research. But imagine a Camry V6, they put 2 big twin turbos on it specifically designed for the Tundra, as well as the higher end LX 470 or 570s. Or UX or whatever they have. They change them every year. I'm sorry, I'm not a Lexus aficionado. But regardless, this one is the iForce Max, right? So the main thing is you have the normal Tundra engine that is on any standard Tundra now, but supply that with a battery pack behind those rear seats right there. And what that does is that mainly gives power to the front end, while the normal conventional engine gives power to the rear end through the drive shaft and everything like that. Normal weight to power rate transfer between the front engine to the rear and then the front wheel drive, sort of kind of like a Prius. Just imagine a Prius, a Camry, and a Tacoma and a Lexus had a baby. Boom, this is that.
I feel like this Tundra would beat the Prius in a drag race, though.
Yeah, probably.
Just
yeah. Those new Priuses are pretty quick though.
Are they?
Yeah, dude. Like they're. Everybody loves to make fun of a Prius, but if you put that thing in power mode, right, it'll beat you off the line. Now it won't get you like going down the road, but it'll go. Like as soon as you let off of it, it's kind of like a Tesla. But
Let's get one of those and do a 0 to 60 test.
I don't think this will still bleed the brakes off of it for sure. So obviously what I'm going over here is I'm trying to show off the light bar, and the light bar is a little bit difficult to learn how to use because I struggled with it. You have to have it on high beams and then also fog lights off, and then you have to turn it on that way. So that's the cheat code to get your fog light or your nice TRD light bar turned on.
And I will tell you, driving at night, this light bar gives you probably 30 to 40% more visibility than you have if you don't have it on. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, light bars. I did it the Amazon way. I put one on my Tacoma right underneath that little slit in the thing. But man, I would drive all the time with that thing on, and I couldn't. I went back to normal headlights. I'm like, oh, I can't see anything, peasants, you know. But turned on all the lights there for you. The fog lights are pretty cool. They follow those 3 little Toyota LEDs at the top that are amber in color. I don't know why we have to keep putting amber colored things. Just put it white because it looks better. But I guess for Hot Boy,
White would look badass on there.
That's what I'm saying. Like Toyota, just make everything white, man. Same.
Yeah, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off,
You're
Colton. Imagine that like on the black TRD Pro with the white. That would just look so clean, murdered out with that.
Well, I think there's like laws that are involved with that, because like on the side marker lights, like you see they have to have orange on there because some stupid person who's higher up in government says no. Side markers have to be on vehicles because of safety reasons. I have never once looked over at a car and said, "Oh my God, there's an orange side marker. I can't turn over there."
They must be driving straight at me. Oh no.
I don't know. They put that in regulations, just like back in the 70s where BMWs had to have these giant boat end front bumpers because they thought safety was better, and it clearly was not. But the orange lights there, pretty cool. Say the TRD, only specifically on the TRD Pro. As well as I did point out that the TRD Pro does give you parking sensors on the front and rear. You can't see them in the video, but they look like a little circle, and they're blended in pretty well. So
they do blend in really nicely. The other thing I was going to say is we're sitting in the truck right now, so if you guys hear it turning on and off, that is the iForce Max engine kicking in on the electric side.
Power.
Yeah, so it will turn off the gas motor and it will kick on to the electric engine. It's pretty cool how that does that. It's so we're not sitting here just killing gas.
Yep. which gas mileage doesn't matter because we're at 13 miles a gallon.
At 13.7, and that's because I got after it. It wasn't 15.5, driving it in eco mode very reasonably.
Yeah, 13.5, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So 13.7, 15.5 is what I got, but it's not the 17 to 24 that it says it's going to get.
Just like when I was selling the previous model Tundra, everybody's like, "Oh, how much fuel economy do you get? Like, how much is this?" I'm like, listen, if
you don't buy this for the fuel economy.
Yeah, exactly. If you're looking at fuel economy and you don't care about that kind of thing for this truck, you're buying the wrong truck, and you don't probably need to be buying a truck at all. So, I do like the jeweled eyes, right? So that's one thing that the previous model Tundra kind of had, but it wasn't really jeweled.
Can you elaborate on that? What is a jeweled eye?
So on the actual headlights themselves, they look like little balls or little spheres that look like jewels inside the headlights.
Okay.
That's what I call them. I like them. Honda really revolutionized that back in 2017 when they would put it on their touring model vehicles. I like it a lot. I think it makes it look a lot more sophisticated.
So we're still just kind of looking at this video. It's going around the edge of the truck here. We're going to get to the next spot. By the way, if you're a drone fan, this was shot with the DJI Mavic Air 2. The link for that will be in the description as well. I highly recommend this if you're going to shoot any kind of content for YouTube. Just look at the clarity that this thing brings out in this truck. I've seen other videos on YouTube of this truck that have over 1 million, like pushing 2 million views, and then they make the truck look absolutely just like ass. And the DJI Mavic Air 2 did an amazing job of making this car just pop, this truck pop.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here we are talking about the interior of the truck. Go ahead and take it away and give us your walkthrough.
Yep, so I'm saying basically you get memory buttons for your seats here, so you can have a his and hers. Press and hold the two buttons at one time. It'll set it. You'll hear it go beep, beep. You have mirrors that fold in and out. Kind of cool. If you put your truck in park, if you have it in auto, they'll auto fold in whenever you're in park, auto fold out whenever you put your car in drive or reverse or you're going somewhere. It's kind of pretty neat. Tundras haven't had that before except for on the 1794s and the Platinums. But this one is cool because it's auto. Before it was not. It was just sort of kind of just, I'm going to do what I want to. And then you do have a nice leather pad where you put your arm now. So that's nice, right? There's no nice leather arm pad in the back, but at the same time you have a lot more space and don't really have to worry about driving. So that makes sense. But it's very comfy. I appreciate that. I couldn't do it in the back though. It's very sad.
It's big enough that we're literally shooting this video with the camera on the dash in front of us, and you can see how massive this thing is. I can't even touch the seat. I mean,
it's very large. And then on the back seat underneath here, there's no storage because it is the max version, so that's where the battery pack itself is. So if you're wondering if you get any storage back there, no, you don't. But if you don't have the max version, you will. There's a nice little cubby hole to put guns and rifles and ammunition, dead bodies, whatever you do with your style, you know.
If you put the dead bodies in there, please do not comment on this video that that's where you heard it. Just do your thing. We didn't know shit about it, all right?
And then I'm a 5'11" in personality, but 6'0" on my Tinder profile, and as you can tell as I bend over and show my rear for the whole camera to see. There's
there you go, ladies.
There's a lot of room. There's a lot of room for activities.
He is single and looking to mingle.
Yeah, I know. And then you have two USBs in the back, one Type C, one Type A, air conditioning vent in the back, as well as a standard power outlet, just a 3-prong.
120 volt.
Yeah, was it 120?
Yeah, and you actually have to push the button over here underneath the driver's side to get it to work. It turns.
That's only on the truck, isn't it?
No, that's on this one too. Yeah,
oh.
It's both of them. You push one circuit and it turns them both on.
Okay, so looking over the things overall on the outside as well, going into the inside. That's what I'm doing. I don't know why I just repeated myself, but what's kind of cool is you have, like I said, the memory seats is only on the driver's side. It's not on the passenger side. It's very basic on the passenger side, but what I will say is very nice. You do get lumbar support on both sides. So very nice. You get the TRD Pro stitching in the actual seat itself, as well as this nice like camo kind of look to it. And if your truck is optioned right, you do get the special TRD Pro floor mats. So that's nice.
I'll be honest with you, I didn't really like the camo when I saw it online. I didn't like this solar octane orange when I saw it online, but when you see it in person, it's a whole different beast.
I'm still not sold on the camo. It just looks like, you know what would be cool? Spitball idea. Camo in a truck. It's like, this isn't Walmart, like, Cabela's going to go get the cover. I don't know. There's different strokes for different folks. I mean, realistically, I mean, I would much rather be happier in the Platinum myself, right? But the Platinum doesn't have all the Hot Boy features that the Pro has. That's why they have different options. So
the Capstone has a badass interior. That thing looks like
it's
a
like white
spaceship.
and blue.
Yeah, and it's two-toned.
And you do get the special Toyota logo right there because why not? You know. Nice plastic trim around everything, and it's black. I didn't say it was a bad thing. I'm saying it's black. It's not steel. It's not stainless. It doesn't have like this, like Chevrolet has these ugly little chrome trims that just barely fit in there. It's stupid to me.
There's no wood grain anywhere either. It's literally all just black in here, minus the red stitching.
Minus the red stitching and the Turd Pro.
Question: you think it's actually red stitching or is that solar octane?
It's definitely red.
Yeah.
Because it would match this. That would make the most amount of sense.
No, you're right. You're right. See, little things we're still learning. I've had this thing a little over a week. Yeah, a little over a week now.
Yep. And then so obviously just going around to the front now, I'm going to start showing you about all the buttons that are on the steering wheel as well as the left-hand side. And I'll try my best to go over this while we're recording like this. But I've already showed you about the memory seats. I've already shown you about the mirrors themselves. As you can see, the door cards on everything is very plasticky.
Nice little zoom out of us, like looking at like, hey, we're playing with the drone. Coming in here, you're talking about the lights.
Parking sensors.
Cleaning off the bugs because this thing is a damn bug magnet.
I mean, it's a giant refrigerator. So.
I mean, it is, but man, you wouldn't know it whenever you're hitting 120 down the road. I don't know anything about that though.
Oh, you do get, they're not optional anymore. This one came with with mudguards. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, it is what you're saying.
So mudguards are standard. It's very nice. Thank you, Toyota, for not charging us $180 to put mudguards on our $70,000, $80,000 MSRP vehicle.
It did not come with running boards though. I had to put those on aftermarket. So if you buy the TRD Pro, unless you add those on, your truck comes without running boards. I have little kids. They couldn't get in this thing on their own, so I went ahead and put them on very quickly.
And also briefly what I was talking about right there is they put a vinyl wrap on that front little section where the windshield meets the other side. It's gloss black. It's to keep, and every piece of the trim on this truck is gloss black. There's not one thing that's matte black other than the wheels. The mirror caps, the piece that says Tundra Pro Max, the door handles themselves, they're all gloss. That's all gloss black. Some things are thrown in there are matte black, like the bed cover. Or inside the bed, obviously it's a composite bed, so it's going to be shiny for a little while, but as soon as the sun hits it and starts to fade it a little bit.
Now talk to me about that. You had said, oh, I can't believe they put in the composite in here. What should they have done here, in your opinion?
So, I mean, in my opinion, just kept it like it was. You know, the composite bed does not have the level or the amount of payload capacity that a normal truck can do. I mean, Tundras weren't really a fifth wheel truck in the first place, so you can't really, they're not in that market per se, but I'm saying you're kind of eliminating that option if you ever wanted to go that way in designing the Tundra. The composite bed to me is cool, I guess, because it doesn't rust out. It is what it is kind of thing, but to me, I feel that a truck lined bed is going to last a little bit longer than this because of the fading. So if I just take a bare truck with a very good applied Line-X, it's going to stay darker and blacker for a much long period of time versus this, which is plastic, which UV rays do not like, and it's going to turn it gray. So you're going to see all these trucks in probably about 5-6 years from now that have been outside in Arizona and stuff like that. You're going to see these bluish green, gray backs to their back end. I mean, it's just what happens, you know?
Okay.
And you can't really do anything about it other than potentially repaint them.
Can you remove it and then...
I mean, you can, but I mean, why would you want to do that?
I mean, if I just want it bed lined, I mean, I can remove it.
Oh, yeah. You wouldn't have to remove it. You would just, if you wanted bed lined again, you would just re-bed line it. They would just spray the composite where it is.
So this thing isn't removable, so if I want that, I mean, because it's like, you can feel it's floating in there, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's 6 big bolts in there, or yeah, 4, 6. I mean,
Yeah,
I would
6.
imagine that you could take it apart just like on the old Tundra. You can, or on the old Tacoma. There's 4 bolts right here, and you can take the whole side cap off and then put the new one on. Can you do that with this one? I don't know. No one's ever taken them apart, so
Okay, so probably not worth it.
no,
All right,
not worth the labor for sure.
So while we have this pause, man, probably a good time to talk about the giant sunroof that goes the length of the cab.
Mm-hmm.
I think I pretty much just talked about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. You know, you have the vent shade that holds, if you continue to hold it, and you can pause it at whatever area you want.
And it's not solid. It's like a canvas.
Yeah, I think all the manufacturers are like that.
Are they? Like the old ones used to be solid. I've never had one. I avoided them actually. I wasn't a big fan.
Yeah, I mean, it's they're all kind of like that loosey-goosey fabric. I mean, because I had that Audi one time and it was very loose.
Yeah.
So it's just like basically a sheet to make sure that sun doesn't really mess with you too much. But then again, you have a sunroof, so
Yeah.
you need to use it.
Well, and it is badass. It actually blocks the sun really well for just being a little.
And I don't know
piece
if
of
you know
canvas.
this, but you can press this and just open it as a vent like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if you knew that. But if you press it, you can open it up as a vent, and then you can press and hold. It'll go to a certain piece. The little flipper comes out, and then you do it back one more time. It'll go back another
I don't
2
understand
inches.
that. Why?
Yeah, why wouldn't
What's
it
the
just
point?
go all the way
Yeah.
back? I don't know.
Tundra,
But
that's the
I
worst
will
thing
say
I've ever
this.
seen.
I will say this. Toyota, I love you, but hopefully you design this better than the Camry whenever you put these first in the Camry. Literally, we sold one, and it was an XSE in 2018, 2019, right? That had this big, giant piece in it, and it's much bigger. It goes from like here to here on a Camry, right?
Yeah.
And a day after we sold it, dude was going down the highway, it flew off.
Oh shit! I'd be pissed.
Yeah, I mean, it's covered under warranty, but I mean, it's just like...
Yeah, you still got to deal with it. And,
That's scary.
And from the insurance standpoint, that's a liability. If that thing flies off and hits somebody behind
else.
me,
Oh, yeah, dude, it's,
that's on me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to
Warranty
say
didn't
horror
cover that.
stories, but I'm saying like that's not something I hopefully the research and developer is designed around.
Well, I can tell you this truck has gone fast enough and it has never flown off. So,
Yeah.
Toyota,
Yeah.
you fixed it.
Yeah, good job. And then also what I was also highlighting here was in the third brake light, they put the rear view mirror, not rear view mirror. Oh yeah, actually the rear view mirror camera is there, as well as you can specifically go to on the screen where you can see what's in the bed.
Yeah, that's nice.
So that way, if you have some, I really don't know what a good example of that would be, other than to look at what you have back there. I mean, maybe if you had a fifth wheel, you could hook it up, but you're not doing that in a Tundra. So I mean,
Just, I guess, putting cargo back there. I know when we cleaned out the garage, I threw some trash back there, and I just want to make sure it wasn't flying out, so I just turned that on.
there you go.
I could see it from that standpoint. But what else is nice is instead of the rear view camera where you're looking up at somebody, you can actually see level, and you can see what's going on behind you. There are a couple different applications that are nice, but realistically, unless you're pulling a trailer, it's not gonna be a necessity.
Definitely
But it
not.
definitely is nice. It's a good little camera to have.
And then once again, I'm going over the wheels and tires. The biggest qualm for me on this truck is I just don't know how, but Ford, Chevrolet, even Ram, right? They all are starting to move towards independent rear suspension. And this truck, and all of its great advances from the Tundra model from the previous one to this one, really 2007 to now, or previous model year, I just don't understand how you can design a truck into modern day and say, hey, listen, man, we're going to still put the same rear axle that was in it before. It just drives me up a wall, right? Because you can Google pictures of the rear suspension of this truck. It has a live axle. With all the power that this thing has, with all the brute force and just meanness that it is, right? How, in the amount of MSRP that you're asking for these trucks, is that not a thing? Like, I understand it, like, if it was on a cheap truck, right? So back when I was selling Tacomas, right? If you got a cheap taco, right? The 2.7 liter, it had drum brakes in the rear.
Hang on a second. You've said this a couple times. What the hell is a cheap taco? Because tacos are delicious no matter what price you pay. So I've got to understand, what's this cheap taco?
Tacoma.
Oh,
Yeah.
Tacoma.
Yeah,
Okay.
Tacoma. Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
I'm not like in the car business. I don't know this
Sorry.
lingo.
And there's also no Easter eggs in the Tundra. I looked, right? At least in the taco, you would find a little taco at the very end. The only one that I know of is in the windshield right here, which we'll show on screen. But it says Toyota Trucks, and then you'll see like these little like dots that represent like off-roadiness, and then it'll follow the whole entire windshield to the other side, and it'll also do the same thing. That's really the only one that's kind of outstanding, but no like cool little things in the glove box of mountains and stuff.
Which is interesting, right? Because when you turn this car on, you get the whole Tundra, we're rugged, like mountains and everything. But what's crazy is I feel like their crawl mode with that independent suspension in the back not being there would just work more efficiently if they had independent suspension instead of this single.
That, and you have to think about like in terms of long-term longevity, right? Live axle, you don't have to change out independent axles, right? But it will wholeheartedly with an independent rear suspension make things a lot easier, not only on the techs, but also on the customer too, because the last thing that anybody wants to be doing on a 80,000 pound vehicle is rebuilding a rear suspension. This is not 1943. Everyone except for Toyota has moved away from this. It's just asinine. I don't understand it. Just like when I was talking about with Tacomas, right? Like, how is a Tacoma made in 2022 with rear drum brakes? $60,000 truck does not have disc brakes on the rear. It has drums. And this is not something that's unknown. Go look at any Tacoma. Not one has disc brakes in the rear. Not one. How? Like, hey. Toyota does a really great job with a lot of their products, but also at the same time, it's just like, dude, like, come on, let's stop thinking, like, let's think a little bit bigger picture here. But,
which is interesting because this truck is badass. So just to think about little things like that, like why not go the extra step?
Yeah, I know. It's just like, oh, we'll figure it out later, and then they'll be fine with it.
Which is funny too, because that is one of the, so for anybody watching this that hasn't heard yet, this 2022 TRD Pro on the Tundra has recalls off the gate. So that rear axle,
most new redesigns do.
Yeah,
like whenever any new model comes out, realistically, I mean, you're going to have a recall.
And one of the biggest ones is with that rear axle. There are a couple bolts that need to be tightened up.
Which is crazy to think, because when I looked at the rear axle, it didn't look any different than the previous generation.
Right.
Like, it's probably the same exact one. Like, how do you screw that up?
If you look at the lift kits, the upper lift is the same as the previous model, too, so far.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When I looked at it, it seems exactly like the previous model diff. And I've had a lot of times looking under the rear ends of some trucks. So, it's stupid.
It's good times, though.
Yeah. All right, so here I'm going to go over all the buttons, but up top we have the turns the light on back there, so you can turn that on or off.
Now. You can see it flashing behind us.
Yep. And if you can always leave it on, like my friend Marcos back when I was selling cars, because he wanted everybody to know that he has the LED back there and he's super cool.
Marcos, if you're watching this,
I still remember.
Yeah.
Automatic headlights. So those are good for whenever you have your high beams on. It'll detect if a car is coming, turn your high beams off. As soon as the car passes, it'll turn right back on again. Very cool feature. The pre-collision system you can turn off right there. And also there's the gas cap right there. And Ross's beautiful shot of the gas cap was... that is great cinema work. It wasn't bad.
Look at that. I'm holding this drone.
Yeah.
I'm like, look at this.
You got a little holder. You got a little holder there.
Look, Toyota. Professional right here.
I will say this, in my Tacoma that I had, which was a 22, it didn't even have a damn holder for the damn gas cap. Thank you. I appreciate it. And then the lighting for the center console was weird. It's not like a dial, right? You have to just press it, and then it goes down by like 25% each time.
That's a little more than that. 10, 15, 20. It's like...
Then you get the red stitching on the inside.
18%.
You get the dimpled stitching as well, which looks like somebody took an ice pick to it, a very computerized ice pick. Makes it feel more racy. Odometer reset, trip reset right there, and your pre-collision system, you can turn that on and off there.
And we do have the video of you doing this on the phone, so it'll have all the details in it. Is there anything else on the inside that you feel like you missed or you want to really showcase or talk about that we wouldn't have talked about in the video?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I pretty much went over everything. The only thing that I can say that I feel as though, as a customer, what people would want to know is if you can record some type of video to go in there and just scroll through all the buttons and just tell them what things do.
Okay.
And just
We'll do that.
customize things.
We'll do
and
that.
be like, this is what this does, and this is what this does.
If we get enough questions from you guys, we will do that as a second video follow-up to this of exactly what each button does. It's really, for being the first digital, what is that even called? Your speedometer.
Cluster. The digital cluster. It's not the first. The first one was an LFA from Lexus, but we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, but this is the first one in Tundra.
Yeah, it's first one on Tundra. Yeah, there's no analog. There's no analog dials or anything. It's all digital now.
100% digital.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. You can watch the iForce Max. It has a little battery button, so you can see as you hit the brakes, different things like that. It actually charges it back up.
Priuses have that.
Yeah, so you can see it though. It's really cool. This is my first car that I've had with this.
Why is it beeping at you?
It's saying so. Here's another feature. Vehicle will automatically turn off in a few minutes. We're gonna keep it on.
Yeah,
but,
I guess so that way if you don't leave it running and you can't accidentally leave it running in the garage.
Which is interesting. What if I have a dog in the car or something like that I just ran in to get some food or,
You can't leave your dog in the car.
If you leave it running,
you can't leave your kid in the car. No, you can't.
Yes, you
Stop.
can. Leave
You're
it running
get
and lock it.
Some dude's gonna break your window, and it's gonna cost you $40,000.
It's gonna cost his ass $40,000. If that window's $40,000, that'd be bullshit. Don't exaggerate, Colton. But no, this is pretty cool. I mean, you got the all digital display, the buttons. Oh, you got the heated steering wheel, which is nice. Heated seats, air conditioned seats. I know you wanted all this.
In review, right? In terms of total badassery, yes, it's good, right? It's awesome. The only qualm that I have, realistically, right? Going from a V8, a big boy V8, 5.7 V8, having all that torque, having all of that power. When you press the gas in the V8, you feel it, and you know it's there, right? Now, granted, this truck has 30 more foot-pounds of torque. It does. Like, there's no way to debate it, right? But you're going to get that with an electric edition. It's just going to happen. I don't know, man. I'm still not sold on the V6, man. Like, I really, truthfully believe if Toyota would have taken their 5.7 that they've worked for years to perfect, right? Now they're just throwing it away. If they would have taken that 5.7, and I get it, you kind of have to do it with government mandates and everything like that. Even their 4.0 V6, right? That 2GR FE, that old tried and true V6 engine that they worked with on the Tacomas, right? Put that in here, right? 276 horsepower. They've used it in the Tacomas and the 4Runners for years. Plenty of parts availability. Take that, put 2 turbos on that, and then add that hybrid edition. You wouldn't have to design an engine. You wouldn't have to go and get a Lexus engine. And just put it in there and probably be a lot better and feel a lot more torqueier. This truck honestly drives to me like a little bit like a Camry until you get on it, where the boost builds up and then all of a sudden the hybrid system kicks in. Then you really feel it pulling from the front. It is a definite increase in what we had before, because when you're going around a corner, the things you don't think about whenever you take that turn, if you apply gas, all that hybrid power is going to the front and it's grabbing you and it's pulling you that way, right? On the old generation model, like when you're turning, you're hardcore banking right, and if you got to be careful, you might take it out. I mean, it is an improvement. I can't sit there and say like, oh man, like this thing is a piece of garbage, it's not going to last, blah 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 blah. Everybody can say that, but realistically, I mean, it's just different, If you like the power of a V8 Tundra, just go get a used one, right? They're great value right now. The market's finally coming down just a little bit, so that way you can get one for a good deal. But if you want that cutting edge and that bleeding edge of something new and something that's going to potentially change the way that you think about vehicles, this is the way to go.
Yeah, and this thing's badass. I would like to have seen, although Toyota's inventory is down so far, it would be so difficult for them to actually do this. Do a supercharged version like the TRX for the Ram. I mean, you're looking at the competitor model here is 702 horsepower versus this is 400 and... Well,
you do realize it still has forced induction, right?
Dude, that's your department.
Okay, yeah. So it is already turboed.
This?
Yes.
It's got 300 less horsepower than that thing.
It also has 2 extra cylinders and came from a model that's designed to do that.
Well, that's what I would like to see. Like, take it back to their V8.
I mean, it definitely is a lack of power for the money, right? Like, they should have had a lot more juice out of the hybrid battery packs and the hybrid system to make up for that difference. This truck should have been able to been making 600 horsepower with all engine combined. Truthfully, like I like an iForce Max version, right? The previous model Tundra had, I think it's 373 horsepower, while the current model Tundra with just the base engine with the turbos, I think is actually making less horsepower than the previous model.
Well, it's 400 and something. It's 432 or something like that.
On the base?
The regular base?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, we'd have to look and see.
That's what I'm saying.
I
Because
thought you were
like,
talking about this one.
no, I'm saying the base model that doesn't have the hybrid system in it. It's like,
I mean, that seems about right, because if not, then what's the point in the hybrid system?
it lacks. I'm just telling you. I'm like, they're like, it's just that these used Tundras are such a great deal, and I've been so used to them. I fear for Toyota's future on the lower end spectrum of trucks, right? On the higher end, kind of the same thing. If they would have turned up the boost a little bit on this thing, and they would have given it maybe 2 motors instead of 1, this thing would have been a absolute competitor and something that people are like, what in the world happened to this thing? But like, don't get me wrong, this thing will still knock your socks off, but like at the same time, it doesn't have a fire to hold to the flame when it comes to a TRX. It doesn't have anything when it comes to Ford's V6 twin turbocharged hybrid model. You know, there's 0-60 times on those that like they're seconds different. Seconds.
We'll have to look. This thing's pretty quick. When we run our 0 to 60 and want to do a 0 to 60, 0 to 100, and a 60 to 100.
Mm-hmm.
See what the time is on that. So we'll have those linked here as well. Those will be separate videos. We might link them in this if we get them done quick enough as well. Anything else you want to add? I know we went over pretty much everything. We'll have to cut this video up and get it to fit. I feel like there's one. Oh, the mirror is we already got that in the other thing.
Yep.
All right, yeah, I think we pretty much covered everything, man.
So the true question, right, Ross? Was it worth it?
Hell yeah, it was worth it.
You think so?
I do. This truck's dope, man. I love it. I would not have bought another truck right now. The TRX right now is going for $144,000. So that, as we're talking about comparisons, this right now is a $94,000 truck, which MSRP it's like $84,000.
I don't know, cuz dude, like if I was about to spend that amount of money, right? What I would do, truthfully, I would go buy a 2021 TRD Pro with the 5.7 in it, right? You have everything that this thing has in it. You don't get the big old screen.
The big screen, you can't just put that in.
But guess what? You can get an aftermarket unit and put an iPad in there, and it's going to work 10 times better. But regardless, right? Put a supercharger on that son of a gun.
Yeah, but the supercharger also doesn't do as much as it says. The supercharger on this is $7,300. It adds 68 horsepower.
No, yeah,
guarantee. I looked it up.
I mean, I don't know if I would put an extra supercharger on this, because then you're getting turbo and supercharger.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, for that, it's not.
No, but I'm saying the previous model, it was just straight motor, and now we're just going.
How much does that supercharger add to it, though?
I think the Edelbrock kit adds 150 horsepower.
So you're still only 500 and some odd. Like, with the supercharger on this, it was 502 horsepower.
Still, but it's 50 grand. Yeah. With a supercharger.
Fair enough, but you also don't get all the bells and whistles. How much is the kit to put in the...
Well, an iPad's about $1,200.
Also the new body style.
You get the new body style. You get all the looks, right? Everybody's looking.
I do like the new body style,
It's all about who you are and what your end goal is at the end of the day. If your ultimate end goal is to save money and you don't want
you don't buy
to
this
spend...
truck to save money.
Yeah. Like, if you want to ball out, cool. Get this one. It's going to do it for you. Everybody's going to love it. Everybody's going to think you're hot boy, right? Like, but if you're trying to...
I can't get past your hot boy.
Yeah. You like, if everybody wants to think you're a hot boy, then cool, get this one, right? You're cool, and you can go fast, and you do mad skids, bro.
Now, what is cool about this is, from the numbers we ran, now these may not be accurate. This is based on Toyota's second quarter earnings numbers, but there were less than 50 of this model with this color in the U.S. made. So if that's the case, then even though it was purchased over MSRP, it's going to hold its value just because it's so rare. So depends on what you're looking for. Me personally, I look at it as an investment, and honestly, my son loves it. He wanted me to get a big badass truck. He wanted it to be red. I got this orange, but it looks red in pictures. You'll see some of these. I'll probably get some thumbnails on the video that show it where it looks red. That's really cool about this color. It goes from a bright, deep like orange to a bright, deep red. It's right on the cusp of both. So anyway, that is it for our video, guys. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy the walkthrough. We're going to do a little bit more on this. We're going to go through. If you guys have more questions, anything in more detail that you want to see, please leave comments out there. Leave us a like, share, and check out the links in the bottom. This video was sponsored by OBA Solutions, big tech for small companies. Basically, the company goes out, they build websites, a CRM, and they do everything to automate a small business so that you can spend more time with your clients and taking care of everything that they need. So check it out. The link's in the description below. OBA Solutions, fantastic company, and check out what we stand for.